Hello, my viewers. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am so happy to see you this afternoon. I have a very special topic talking about today. So I would like for you to share the link with your friends, share it with your family members. Tell them that change is on, featured on Thy Kingdom Come global broadcast, and we will talking about grief. Now, let me just share something with you before we begin. Every single person at some time in their life go through grief. It's a phase that everyone goes through at some point. I need you to understand that people are different. The way in which I grieve might be every single person go through grieving at some point in their life. So for today, my viewers, we are going to be talking about what grief is. We are going to be talking about the different stages of grief. And we're also going to be talking about some tips for helping us go through the grieving process. All right, so let us begin. The first thing I'll point out to you right now as we speak is a simple definition of what grief is. Now, even before I give you the definition, let me just explain to you, everyone who is on this broadcast live right now, several things can cause grief. If you have experienced a divorce, if you have heard that you or a loved one have some form of terminal disease, or if you have lost a loved one, all those factors can cause grief. So, although grief is very interesting, I find it to be an interesting topic. Very interesting, but it is a very difficult topic to speak on because it's never an easy thing to lose a loved one. It's a never an easy thing to go through the grieving process. It's never an easy thing when you are stressed and you're depressed as a result of loss. So let us just take our time and examine and speak about this process. All right, in simple words, grief is a strong feeling, sometimes overwhelming emotion for self or others as a result of loss of a loved one or as a result of terminal illness. I just want you to understand it clearly. So let me just repeat. Grief is a strong feeling, sometimes overwhelming emotion for others or for self as a result of loss of a loved one or as a result of terminal illness, and sometimes as a result of divorce. Now, some other terms that can be used for grieving or grief is bereavement. So I might use these terms interchangeably. So if you hear Mrs. Evans saying bereavement, I am still talking about grief. If you hear I use the term mourning, I am still talking about grief. And if I say grieving, I am still talking about grief. Now, what are the different stages of grief? There are several different stages of grief, and I'm going to take my time and I'm going to go through each stage of grief with you this afternoon, as I want you to understand clearly what this grieving process is all about. Now, the first stage of grief is denial. Sometimes some persons might pair it with shock. What is denial? This is when someone dies, or you have lost someone, or you get divorced, or you have a terminal illness, and you have heard the news. You know that it is true. But because of how you're feeling, you say to yourself, no, this is not true. No, this is a dream. I am dreaming. This is not real any at all. No, someone is just playing with me. This is a big joke. Nothing like this is happening. Those are the things that you say when you are in denial. So when something happens, when you have lose a loved one and you are going through the first phase, which is denial, the first thing you begin to say to yourself, this is not real. This is a joke. Nothing like this has happened. And I am just, it is not true. So that is the first phase of denial. At this stage, you begin to say to yourself, no, man. Say it's a case where you have lost perhaps your mother, or you have lost a co worker, or you have lost a very, very, very good friend. You say to yourself, no, this is not true any at all. Mommy will be coming home shortly, or daddy will be coming home shortly, or your co worker, when you go to work tomorrow, you're going to be seeing that co worker. Those are the things that you tell yourself because you're in denial. You do not believe that it is true. So you just continue to say, this is not real. Now, the second phase that you go through after the denial phase is that of pain. You begin to feel pain of the loss. You begin to feel guilt. You go through some pain. You feel as if this this that I am feeling, it is unbearable. I don't know if I'm going to make it. I cannot deal with this. This is too much for me. And you begin to say to yourself, you know that it is my fault. Or sometimes, if you don't feel guilty for yourself, you begin to say that it is the dead person's fault. All right. So you begin to feel the experience, you begin to experience some pain and some deep guilt within yourself. And at this point, I just want you to understand it is quite okay for you to feel lonely. That's quite okay. It's normal. It is quite normal for you to feel empty. It is quite normal at this stage to feel like you're the only one in the world who is experiencing this pain. All those things, they are quite normal. Nothing is wrong with you if you feel like that. But I just want to remind you, everyone who is viewing me right now, remember, death, it is inevitable. We will all die at some point in our life if God does not come. If He tarries at some point in our life, we are all going to die. It is inevitable. All right? So I just need you to understand that. Now, we have just spoken about the second phase of the grieving process, and now we move on to the third phase. The third phase of the grieving process is that of anger. You become angry with yourself. At times, if you're not careful, you are even angry with the dead person because you're saying to yourself, you know, it might just be my fault. Or you might be saying to yourself, if mommy or daddy say that it's mommy or daddy, God forbid, that is a person that you have lost or a co-worker. Yes, you might be saying, if that person took better care of him or herself, this would not have happened. Those are the things that you begin to say to yourself. You are angry. And sometimes when persons are experiencing this phase, they begin to blame others for the death or for the loss. They begin to say that it's not my fault. Say you have lost a mother, and you have other siblings in the home. What you begin to do is to say that you know that it's your fault. If you had taken better care of mommy, this would not have happened. If you didn't leave mommy and go to doctor and go to work, this would not have happened. Or if you had taken mommy to the doctor a little bit sooner, this would not have happened. So you're angry and you're just projecting your anger on other persons. So that is what happened when you are at this phase. Now, sometimes when persons are angry, they tend to take it out on anybody, just about anybody who is around them. So, say you're students, you're going to take it out on your friends at school. Say you have a co-worker that you have lost. You go to work, you're going to take it out on your other colleagues. Say that you're in the home, you're going to take it out on your family members. You're going to take it out on your children. You might take it out on your brothers and sisters. And you might not realize that that's exactly what you're doing, because you tend now to just, redirect your anger. You don't want to keep it in. So instead of dealing with it properly, you redirect how you're feeling, and you cause other persons to feel the anger that you are feeling. All right. But again, I just want you to understand that this too is quite normal. When you lose someone, it is quite normal for you to feel angry. Okay. The next stage is the bargaining stage. You try to strike a deal with God. That's what you do at this stage. For example, you might say to God, say it's a terminal illness that you're grieving over. You might say to God, God, if you save me this one time, I will serve you for the rest of my life. So you begin to strike a bargain, strike a deal with God. All right. So this too is a phase that we all go through. Another thing that you might say it's death. You have lost someone. If only she had gone to the doctor a little bit sooner, she would not have died. That's bargaining. But as I said to you, my viewers, it is quite normal for you to feel this way. Nothing is wrong with you if you begin to feel these ways, if you have lost a loved one. It is quite normal. Just allow yourself to go through the different phases. All right? It's quite normal. Allow yourself to go through. Just allow yourself. All right? It will not be forever. Now, after you have the bargaining phase, then you move on. The next phase that you have in the process of grieving is depression. Now, this is a serious one, very, very serious. Now, depression, this is a period that you go through. You become isolated, you become withdrawn, you become lonely. You want to spend some alone time with yourself. You want the time to sit down and just think about what has happened. You withdraw from all your friends, you withdraw from your family members. You just go into your own shell and you sit down and you think about all the things that has happened. And sometimes you might ask yourself, how am I going to live without this person? Can my life continue? How can I live without mommy or daddy? How can I cope without this coworker? I don't think it is possible for me to carry on. This is quite normal. Everyone who is listening tonight, this afternoon, all of this is quite normal. Nothing is wrong with you. All right, you are just going through the different phases of grief. So you might say, oh boy, I don't think that there will be any tomorrow. I don't think I'm going to wake up tomorrow. I don't think I'm going to survive this. I don't think I can cope with this. I just don't want to talk to anybody. I just want to stay by myself. I am so sad. I feel so empty. I'm so lonely. You become very, very, very withdrawn. But what I want to say to you this afternoon, that too is quite normal. Nothing is wrong with you. However, what I want to encourage you to do this afternoon, if you realize that this phase, it is being prolonged, it's going for too long, over 6 months after the loss of a loved one, I'm going to suggest that you seek medical help. Find a therapist. You need help. It's just a phase that you should go through. And after you go through that phase, you should move on. But if you realize that you're stuck at this phase, remember what I just said. Seek medical help. You need help. All right. Now, the next phase is the upward turn. Now, I like to talk about this because this is the time when you begin to see that, yes, I have lost someone. However, life continues, life goes on. So I like this phase. At this point in the grieving process, the anger, the pain, all of that, the depression, all of that, it has died down. You're now calm. Yes, you're now more relaxed. You feel a little bit lighter. You begin to put yourself at a place that you say, I have to move towards the future. My life is ahead of me. Life continues. At this phase, you begin to plan your way forward. You begin to plan your life, how you're going to cope without this person. You begin to say, yes, I accept now that I've lost this individual. And of course, life continues, life moves on. So you must allow yourself to go through the upward turn. It is necessary for you to do this while you're going through the grieving process. After that phase, you experience what is known as the acceptance and hope. What is acceptance and hope? At this phase, you say, okay, this is no longer a dream. This is a reality. Yes, I have lost a loved one, but life continues. Yes, I feel empty. I feel a little bit weak. I feel as if I cannot go on, but life continues. I accept that I will never see this person alive again. I accept that I'll have to live without this person. I accept that I have to be strong for myself and for those persons who are depending on me, for those persons who are around me. Say you're an adult, you're a mother, and you have your children, and you have lost a spouse or, say, a child. In the case of students, say you have lost a friend at school. In the case of a, say you're working at a special institution, for example, the Port Antonio High School, and you have lost a loved one, you have lost a colleague. All right. At this point, you say, when I go to work tomorrow, I am not going to see this person. When I go to school tomorrow, I am not going to see this person. When I go home, when I come home from school, from work, I am not going to see this person. If it's a church member, when I go to church, I am not going to see this person. You have come to the reality, you have come to the realization that this person is gone. And you have accepted that this person is dead and you have to move on. All right. So this is crucial. So something that I want to share with you, I want you to know that every single person is different. All individuals, we are all different people. All of us, we deal with things differently. Now, when you're going through the grieving process, you might not necessarily begin at the beginning. You might not begin at denial. You might start in the middle, where you start to bargain, or you might start at the end, right at the acceptance phase. All right. But whichever place you start, what is important is that you experience, you go through the grieving process. So, as I said earlier, every single person is different. Everybody is different. So, the way I might deal with my grief might be completely different from how you would deal with your grief. Remember, I want you to get this properly in your head. Everybody deals with grief differently. It affects our bodies differently. All right. Some persons are more emotional than others. Some persons believe, for example, the male, they believe that when things happen, we should not cry. The males believe that they should not cry. But I want you to understand this afternoon that crying is a form of therapy. If you lose someone, if you're grieving, whatever might cause the grief, and you feel as if you want to cry, cry. It is quite normal. Nothing, absolutely nothing is wrong with you. Let it out. I share something with you. If you lose a loved one and you try to be strong for everybody, for the first couple of weeks you're experiencing that loss, you just put away your personal feelings and you try to be strong for everybody. You don't cry or anything. I can tell you what is going to happen. It might happen a few weeks after the burial, it might happen a few months, or it might take years. What is going to happen? You're just going to find yourself one day crying, 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 out of control because you have not brought closure to your situation and everything is pent up inside. All right, you did not let it out. So my advice to you, try to let it out. Try to go through the different phases, the different stages. It is quite normal. Nothing is wrong with you. It is healthy, as a matter of fact, to go through the grieving process. All right. So just try to let it out. Try to cope. Try to share with someone. Talk to someone. If needs be, find a therapist. Talk to someone, but just don't keep it to yourself. Share it. Now that we have completed talking about the different stages of grief, what I want to share with you now is simply some tips how to control or how to help you to cope with your grief. All right, remember I said to you earlier, every single person is different. So the first thing that you have to do, the first tip I want to share with you in coping with your grief, number one, accept your loss. Accept that you're no longer going to see this person. Accept that that person is dead. Accept that life continues without this person. Accept that when you go home, some of the things that this person might help you with, that person will no longer be there to assist you. Just accept it and move on. The sooner you accept it, the faster you will go through the grieving process. All right? And the better these tips will assist you in coping. Okay? So the next tip I want to share with you, understand that there are different stages of grief. I just explained to you a while ago the different stages of grief. I explained to you that persons can start at any stage. It does not necessarily go in a direct order. You can start at any stage. You can start at the beginning, you can start at the middle, or you can start at the ending. It doesn't matter where you start. And another thing I want to share with you, not everyone goes through all the phases or all the stages. Everyone is different. Some persons might go through two of the phases, some might go through all seven, some might go through five. It all depends. All right. So remember, every person is different and everyone go through the different phases at different points in their life. All right. Recognize the symptoms of grief. Remember, I shared a while ago with you all the different stages. So when you start to look into your life and you say to yourself, yes, I am experiencing this, or I experienced that at a particular time, it is quite normal. So just accept, recognize, and know the symptoms. When you know the signs and the symptoms, they are much easier for you to cope with because you're going to say to yourself, well, this is quite normal. I am okay. Nothing is wrong with me. It's just a phase, and this too shall pass. All right? So just remember, I want you to remember the different stages. Don't forget them. Don't forget the symptoms so that you're able to cope. Okay? The next step that I want to share with you, let yourself go through the grieving process. Some persons believe that they are bigger than the grieving process. No, you're not. All right? You're not. As I said at the beginning, and I'm going to share it with you again, every single person go through grief at some point in their life. So allow yourself to go through this process. As I said, it's quite normal. Just allow it. Just remind yourself this is a phase and it will soon be over. The quicker you go through, the quicker you will overcome. Another thing that I want you to do, another tip, get support from your friends. Don't lock away yourself. That's not healthy. Get support from your friends. Get support from your family. Yes, share what you're feeling with your family members. Or if not, get support from a support group. All right? I want you to remember that you're not the only person who is going through this grieving process. There are other persons in this world, other people in this world who are experiencing the same thing that you're going through. So, as I said, a tip that I want you to take home with you, make sure you seek support from your friends, make sure you get support from your family, or if needs be, a therapist or a support group. All right. The next tip I want to share with you, turn to your faith. Yes, turn to your faith. Remember, God is always there to assist you. He's a counselor, all right? He's a friend. So whenever you're going through your grief, the grieving process, turn to God. He's closer than a brother. He's closer than any friend. Turn to your faith. The next tip I want to share with you, express your feelings. Yes, say how you're feeling. It doesn't make sense you keep it inside. It doesn't make sense you behave as if you're an island. Remember, no man is an island. No man can stand alone. So express, talk about how you're feeling. Yes, talking is a form of therapy. Let it out. Just talk to your friends, talk to your family, speak with your spouse. All right, speak with a therapist, speak with a counselor, but let it out. Talk. All right, don't keep it inside, because the more you talk, the more you're going to feel. And I can assure you, you will feel much, much better after you have completed talking about your situation and how you feel. Now, if you are not a person who likes to talk, my recommendation, write down what you're feeling. Because remember, not everybody is the same. Not everybody likes to talk. So if you're not comfortable in talking, just write down what you're feeling. Get your journal, get your diary. Write down how you're feeling. Write down what you're feeling. Express yourself on paper. And if needs be, cry. As I said before, crying is therapy. Let it out. Cry, cry, cry. It's better for you. Don't keep in the crying, let it out. They say that strong men don't cry. That is rubbish. That is just rubbish. If you feel like crying, whether you're a male or female, cry. All right? And another tip I want to share with you, make sure that you eat properly. Because at this time in your life, what happens? You are so overwhelmed. You're so taken up with sorrow and grief. You don't remember to eat. And remember, if you don't eat, your body is going to run down. You need the energy. You need the strength. All right. Remember, it's more work on the brain because you're worried. Sometimes you're depressed. All right. So you need to eat. And along with eating, you also need to sleep. Remember, everyone, when you are going through your grieving process, the truth is, sometimes at nights, 12 o'clock, you're up, 3 o'clock, you're up, you're unable to sleep. So when these things happen in the initial phase, you cannot sleep. But after you begin to go through the process and things begin to calm down, remember, you must get adequate rest. If you're not properly rested, you cannot cope. All right. You need to be strong for yourself and you also need to be strong for others. So remember, you need to rest. You need to eat properly. Another tip I want to share with you, focus on the positive things in your life. Yes, I know that you're grieving, but of course, just remind yourself of all the good times that you have had with this person, the person that you have lost. Remember the good days. Keep those good memories alive in your heart. All right. So you just think on the positive. Give thanks that you're still alive. Give thanks that life continues for you. All right. So just think on the positive things and give thanks for those things. Avoid drinking alcohol. I don't want anyone when they're going through their grieving process, they feel that the only way out is to go and have a smoke or go and have a drink. That is not healthy. That is not going to help you. Let me tell you exactly what is going to happen if you do that. If you are mourning and you go and you say, you know what, let me have a drink or let me have a smoke, guess what? You see, after that alcohol or that smoking, whatever it is that you have done, after you sleep and you're out of that trance or whatever you want to call it, guess what? The problem is still there. The problem goes nowhere. So it does not make sense you turn to smoking or it doesn't make sense you turn to drinking. Alcohol is not the answer. Just allow yourself to go through the grieving process. Remember, after you come back to being yourself, after you have had a smoke or you have had a drink, the problem is still there. It does not take away the problem. All these things will do to you is just damage your liver. You hear? It's not healthy. You don't want that. All right. So just make sure that you don't do this. Take care of your physical self, your physical body. Take care of your emotional health. Remember what I said to you. If you think or you find yourself stuck at a particular phase emotionally, seek help. That means that you need help. Something is wrong. You should not be stuck at a phase for too long. If this is happening, seek help. Sometimes when we have lost a loved one, when we lose a loved one, guess what? We forget to take care of our physical self now. Sometimes we are so sorrowful, we are mourning, we are so depressed, we don't even remember to have a bath, I should say, and change our clothes. You hear, we don't even remember to exercise. But guess what? We have to do these things, all right? Because life continues. So be sure to take care of your physical and your emotional health. Very, very important. And the final thing that I want to share with you, the final tip for this afternoon, make sure if you see that you're stuck at this phase, any of the stages, seek medical help. Find a counselor, find a therapist. It is important for you to just go through these phases and move on with life. So, where it's necessary and you think that you need additional or outside assistance, make sure that you seek help. All right. So, that's just what I want to share with you this afternoon. I hope that it was helpful. This session is dedicated to Woodlin Ming. She is a colleague of mine. We have lost her. just this week. And I just want the family to know that from the Port Antonio High School, our condolence goes out to the family. I know that her daughter and her niece and other members of her family is a part of this community. They're a part of this channel. So I know that they will be seeing this video. So the persons who are watching, the students who are watching, the teachers who are watching, feel free to share your comments with the family because they will see it. All right. So just type it in the chat. They will see it. So just go ahead now. Feel free. And of course, I thank you for joining me on Thy Kingdom Come Global broadcast. This segment is called Change. And of course, I hope that you were blessed by this information. And I hope also that you will put it to use and it will also help you. Thank you for joining. Have a blessed afternoon. Bye. Go ahead and type what you want to type in the stream. They will see it. Just continue to type. Yes. Go so. Go ahead.